Hi, everyone. Hola.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Conversations with. Good morning. I'm Gladys Mizrahi, and I'm delighted to have Valentina Izarra with us today. So, everybody that doesn't know Valentina has a lot of secrets that we're going to learn from her. So, first of all, Valentina, welcome. Thank you so much for being with us today. I know that it's the day before Christmas and you're running around, but please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, thank you, Gladys, for having me on here. It's such a pleasure always to spend time with you and your audience. My name is Valentina Sarra. I'm an actor, a multilingual host, TV host. I produce a podcast called the Mamas Kungganas podcast. It's for the mamacita or the Latina who wants to be motivated and just acquire the tools necessary to live their life con muchas ganas, like we say in Spanish, with lots of drive and lots of motivation. So I have,
Only Mamas Kungganas and not in the English version.
well, it's a Spanglish name.
I
So it's
know.
mamas with ganas. So yeah, it has no accent on the A, but it means, hey, mama, what's up, mama? Because some people say, why don't you put an accent on the mamas? And I say, well, if I put the accent, then I'm leaving out all the women who are not mothers. And as you well know, there's lots of us, some of us are mothers, some of us are not mothers. So it's for all the mamacitas out there. We're all mamacitas. And there's a little bit of a naughty connotation sometimes that people get out of the name.
Mamacitas, for those of you who are Colombian or Latin, mamacitas is something that someone that's sexy.
It's a sexy mama.
It's a sexy.
And we're all sexy mamas. So it's for all women.
I know that you're an actress. So tell me about the latest movie, Secrets in the Basement.
Well, this year I had the movie that came out, Secrets in the Basement. It came out on Lifetime TV. I had the honor of filming right before the quarantine hit. So
You're
literally, yeah, no mask. It was right before quarantine hit. We filmed the movie in February, at the end of February. I remember I had just come back from a ski trip, and then I had 3 weeks of filming. And then, of course, production takes a while for the movie to come out, the editing and everything behind the scenes. And so it came out this fall. And it's funny because a lot of people saw it without expecting me to be on the movie. A lot of people are Lifetime fans, like my mother, for example, who watches Lifetime all the time.
That's pretty cool. Okay, so this weekend I'm definitely gonna watch it.
Very cool. I get to play. It was a cool role. It was the first time I don't know if I should say this. I got killed on camera. I'm not gonna give anything else away, but it's pretty fun. It was pretty fun filming.
Oh, that's amazing. So tell me about Mamas con Ganas before we go into the whole faith conversation.
Yeah, so it's a bilingual podcast. I do an English episode bi-weekly and then another bi-weekly episode in Spanish. So they kind of intertwine. Normally I do Spanish, English, Spanish, English. There are some exceptions where I have like 2 English at a time or 2 Spanish ones, but for the most part, I interview mostly Latinas. Although I've had some American women on there and Canadian women. It just depends. It's women in general who are doing amazing things. And there's lots of women out there who are really giving back with their life in the things that they do. They might be entrepreneurs. Gladys, I interviewed Gladys for my podcast on one of the episodes. We talk about the road of possibilities. That was an episode in Spanish. For example, last week I had another female entrepreneur, because there's lots of us right now. And I think our stories are amazing stories. And it basically, my guests talk about the things that they learned and the things that they overcome on their journey of either entrepreneurship or motherhood or finance. So it's basically to learn from the experiences of other women, because there's a saying that says that smart people learn from the mistakes of others. And so I always find it fascinating when I can learn. I don't have to go through maybe the same painful experience or hardship that somebody else does, but I can learn from their experience and then put that in my toolbox so that I know what to do if I ever come across that situation.
For everybody that is familiar with the power of the heels, Valentina and I are collaborating because Mamás Kungganas aligns a lot with the power of the heels. The
Absolutely.
whole idea is educating the next generation on how to be self-sufficient, financially independent, and emotionally healthy.
Absolutely. And those are like the key components, and you nailed it right there. I mean, I feel like spiritually we need to have like a spiritual foundation for those really tough moments where we have nothing else to fall back on. At least we have our faith in knowing that there's a higher power that's working for us and that God is looking after us. I really do believe that it's fundamental for our lives, mostly in those moments when we have nothing else to hold on to. And then finance, I always say there's no female empowerment without financial empowerment. And I think that's one of the things that we're realizing as women, as particularly women who are in the space of entrepreneurship. And even when they're not, even when they're stay-at-home moms and their husbands are bringing home the bacon, a woman needs to know her finances and needs to know the ins and outs, because you can become very vulnerable and get to a moment in your life where if you haven't looked at your numbers, even if you're not the breadwinner, if you haven't looked at the numbers of your household, I had this, for example, financial advisor who comes on, and she's been on our show a couple times, Alexandra Valentin. And she said that most of us, at least 80% of us, are going to have to be the ones that take control of our finances at one point in our life. Even if we weren't the breadwinners during our lifetime when we had the children, at some point, some of us become widows, there's divorce, there's all these things that contribute, there's disability. So we need to be aware of money. Money, sometimes for us women, is a topic that's taboo. And we talk about spending money, but we don't talk enough about making money and about saving money or investing money. So, yes.
Well, I wanted to share something with you regarding on that topic, because when I got married, the background of my husband is Sephardic, which they come from the Middle East, where women are supposed to stay home, take care of the husband, become mothers, cook, and that's it. They never really got involved in the business. So I really gave a very good education to my kids, and now that I thank God for it, because my dad used to always say, they can take away everything from you, but they cannot take away your education.
Absolutely.
And
So
I
important.
remember that they told me, okay, but a girl doesn't need to have so much education. And when my father-in-law passed away, my mother-in-law didn't even know how to make a check.
Wow.
She was over 60 and she didn't know how to make a check. And at that moment, she realized how important that was. And she came to me and said, I'm so sorry about saying that a girl needs to be educated. And now I see why you did that, and please continue. And that is one of the reasons that I wanted to educate even the next generation and our generation of women that have had their careers for 20 or 30 years and want to make a change, women that want to get a divorce and unfortunately they don't know anything about their finances, they don't know how to do it, and they can't go ahead and get a divorce. So that's really, really important. And they need, it all entangles because they need to be emotionally stable, healthy, and financially stable as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think, our grandmothers, my grandmother's generation, for example, I saw a generation of women where they felt frustrated in the sense that, like you said, if they weren't happy in the marriage, they were pretty much stuck there. and particularly even more so in Latin America. And I think the red generation of my parents, the 70s kids, the 70s babies, or they had their adulthood in the 70s, the Beatles and all of this, and those are my parents. They really, I think, stepped up and pushed the envelope and helped the women's empowerment movement a lot. And now for my generation and the generation to follow, we can't take all of these things that we now sometimes take for granted, like our there was a moment in time where women didn't even have the ability to have their own bank account or even own a property. And it wasn't that far away. There were moments in time where, like you said, women's education wasn't taken seriously. And now there's more women graduating from college than there are men. But I think that component that we still have missing is, we can have knowledge and we can have education, but if we don't know what to do with our money and we're not doing it wisely, we're still not empowered. So it is up to us to, the power of the heels, Mama Kungganas, all of us to really say, take reins of your finances and do it with your husband. If you are married and you're not the breadwinner, it's very important to know all those things regardless, because like you said, people become widows, there's divorce, there's disability, and then all of a sudden the woman that has never taken a look at their numbers in their life all of a sudden has to take control of their finances. And many times they either end up losing the money because they don't know what to do with it, and they're completely clueless. So I feel like it's such an important key to women's empowerment.
Especially this year, because now I'm going to take you to the power of faith. We started 2020. I know that all of the emails and everything, it was 2020, the perfect vision. None of us were expecting what we had this year. I remember I saw a TV show the other day that they were making fun of it. Well, not fun of it, but they were saying, oh, this will be over in 2 or 3 weeks or in a month. And moving forward, it's been already 9-10 months into this, and now we're thinking of going into a deeper lockdown right now as we go into the holidays and everything. So this is a whole unexpected thing, and this is the perfect example. So with that said, I wanted to ask you about one thing that you did and tell us the story of what changed your life through this year. Because I know that it has to be in the Jewish faith, there is something that's called Mitzvah, which is doing something for others. And it is the biggest thing you can ever do. And I think that what you did is something beyond that anybody can do. And I know that you don't see it that way. You see it that it was a miracle for your family. And the way that I see it is the act of love that anybody can do. So that's why I wanted you to share the story on what you did.
Yes, absolutely. So my husband and I on November 11th became foster parents to a 12-year-old boy. It was completely unexpected. It's not like we had actually gone into the system and asked for, I guess we hadn't applied for the foster care system. It happened to be that actually one of my 12-year-old's best friends from his previous school. And so in a matter of 2 hours, we literally had in our custody another being. And it was
a teenager.
Yes, another being in the almost a tween, right?
Almost
another child.
A teenager.
Yes, we went from 2 sons to 3 sons in less than 2 hours, literally. From the time we got the call to the time he was dropped off, and then 2 days later, we were given full custody of the child for the time being, because we don't know what's going to happen in the future, and there's a lot of things I can't disclose. But what I will say is, sometimes God gives us these unexpected, I don't know if it's like trials or just tests, and just places things that are completely unexpected in front of us. And then we're left going, okay, what do we do? And all I can say is that my husband and I, from the moment that he came, an it was like a yes, yes. It was like, yes, you're here. Okay, now you're part of the family. And now, okay, we're gonna have Christmas. Now we need another stocking for the son that we have. And he became part of the family like immediately. And everybody kept telling me, wow, how lucky he is, how lucky he is. And in my mind, I'm thinking how lucky we are, because I don't think I have ever experienced like the presence of God in such a deep way by having somebody else come into our home and change the dynamic, obviously, of our family,
Of course.
but also bring such gratitude, because the Thanksgiving that we had this year, I have to say, has been the most spiritual and like heartfelt Thanksgiving we've ever had. And normally, our Thanksgivings at my mom's house or my house, we used to have like 40 people over, big Thanksgivings, big parties. We ended up dancing. And this year, obviously, due to COVID, it's very small. It's just, it was just my mom, my dad, and then us. That was it. And with the welcoming of this child, Thanksgiving just had a whole different level of meaning, gratitude, and I will say, because how that power of faith works is that we're living in times that we think are so uncertain, and we thought we had certainty before, but in reality we never really had certain. We had the illusion of certainty, but then there are obviously things in our lives that come and we really don't know what's going to happen. So I don't know if this child is going to stay with us for an extended period of time. I know he's going to be here for at least, let's say, a year, but it might be long term, meaning he might be with us until he's 18 years old. But we don't know that. And it's like, we just have to take one step at a time and trust that he's been placed here, obviously, for a reason. There is a reason, because I already see a million reasons for him being here. He's brought joy that I never, expected into our lives. He's filled us with the uncertainty that he's filled us with has been an uncertainty, but it's been an exciting uncertainty, because it's like taking on something and you don't know where it's going, but all you can do is take one step at a time. Because if you try to go too much further in the future, it can become frustrating, because we can't make plans 2 years ahead. It can only be, the next week, the next month, and just do the best for him that we can, give him all the love and the tools that we have at our disposal, and then just trust that God has this divine plan and that he's here definitely for a reason.
What,
It's interesting. Go ahead.
no, sorry. What has been the biggest challenge with this?
There's been a lot of challenges.
Can imagine.
It's a funny challenge though. One of the biggest challenges is kind of funny, and it has to do with, everybody has a different way of a different traditions and different foods and each family has their own dynamic. So in my family, we're Latin, but we have also a big European mix. So our meals are very varied and very international. So I'm Venezuelan. So for Christmas, I have hallacas and ensalada de gallina, and we have all the Latin food, and we love all different types of food. We go to Peruvian restaurants, Colombian restaurants, like all the different Latin restaurants. But we also have I lived in France for 4 years, and my husband is French Canadian. So we have a very big French influence as well in our household. So we also eat a lot of French foods, and we try to eat very varied. And the child, when he came in, he was a very picky eater. So that was a big challenge, because I could only feed him pizza for 2 days. And then afterwards it was like, okay, well, now you're going to have to eat the spinach cream soup that we're making the family.
Oh my God. If you give that to my grandkids, they will leave the house.
It was quite a challenge, mostly because, and then I have a nanny who helps me with the meals at night, and she's very also health oriented. So we do a lot of organic foods and we have vegetables. So, in the beginning, I knew already the life of this child had changed so much. I couldn't just push so much change all at the same time. So in the beginning, it was like, okay, tonight you're going to taste one piece of broccoli. And I would put one little piece of broccoli in his plate. I go, that's your challenge today. And I would put one little piece of broccoli. And then the next week I'd be like, okay, this time you're eating 2 pieces of broccoli, and I'd put him in his plate. Whereas with my older son, I was like, here's your broccoli, here's your brown rice, here's your chicken. With my foster son, I had to be like, okay, little baby steps. And it's interesting because children are so, they're incredible, you know, they really do. I mean, he's been adapting really well. And today, no joke, before we stepped on to our call with you today, he says to me, you know, when I came here, I didn't like broccoli, and now broccoli is my favorite vegetable. So it's all these things that you think you're not going to get over, but the children, they learn. And I think they know when things are done through love. And I always say that intention is the most important thing. When you have the intentions of doing something right and you do it with love, even if it's something that the person might be like, I really don't want to eat my broccoli, but you talk to them and you tell them why it's important. And then children, they can read intention. I think they're the best at knowing who is really out for their best interest.
How has been the dynamic with your other two kids?
That's also been a challenge. So
Yeah.
although with my older son, it was literally one of his best friends that came into the house. He has struggled with a little bit of, I would say, jealousy.
I can imagine
And
that.
yes, because he, Aiden obviously, and not just, the attention that he was also grabbing from me and my husband, but also all the agencies that were calling, that were giving him attention. And it was 2 weeks where I was literally, the only job that I had was answering phone calls, going to get my fingerprints done, having assessments done where they would call, the agencies call you, and they want to know everything about your family, like your lifestyle. They want to know what you do, everything.
Yes. You're bringing someone to your house.
Yes. So they want to know everything. So it was very time consuming. And my older son has had a little bit of an adjustment. It's funny because at the same time, he'll tell you that he wouldn't have it any other way, that he's so happy that his friend is here with us. But he has, and we have had to have several, if not many, conversations where I have to reassure my son, you're my son and you'll always be my son. And you have to realize that these are special circumstances that your friend is going through, very difficult circumstances. Because if I go into the details, it is very heart-wrenching, the story of this child. It's very heart-wrenching. It's a story of neglect from the parents. There was the passing away of his main caregiver, which was the grandfather. It's very sad. And there's been moments where I've literally had to close the door, and then, you act strong to a certain moment, but then all of a sudden it hits you. And then you ask yourself, am I really going to be able to see this through? So I've had my moments where I've cried behind doors, and just ask God for strength, for the strength to really do what's right by all the kids. And also, one of the important things that as well, I think, has been that we decided to do this together, my husband and I. It's not like I made the decision without consulting him, or he made the decision without consulting me. When they asked us, are you willing to do this? Both of us said yes. And actually, I waited for my husband to respond, because I said to myself, I don't want afterwards for him to resent me to make a decision that's going to jeopardize our marriage. And I felt very fortunate that both of us, made the decision together. And so it makes you feel stronger for doing it, because you're like, okay, we're in this, we made the decision, and now we just need to go and do the best we can.
But you know that you're saving a life. And one life saved is a whole village. Because you never know.
You never know. Yeah.
You never know. And I'm going to tell you why. Because when the Holocaust happened and there was one life saved, I saw a picture of that man when he was saved. He grew up, he got married, and now he celebrated his 80th birthday surrounded by all his family. And there were 64 between his kids, his grandkids, and great grandkids. So it's a whole village that you can actually save with that.
Yes.
So
It's
I think
beautiful.
the act of selfishness that you can do, because you're giving away more of your time. You're taking away time from your other kids, from your husband, just to save one more life. And that is the biggest blessing that anybody can give. I also understand that you have another challenge, that you're celebrating Christmas tomorrow and your foster son is Jewish.
Yes, well, I was going to go there. So this has been also one of the most beautiful things, because I feel like everything has enriched us in a positive way. So he's Jewish. My foster son is Jewish, and we're Catholic. So we have actually celebrated this year Hanukkah. We had the menorah, and I had to learn. I had to read. I was doing the Jewish prayers, and it's so I always have this Judeo-Christian connection in my life. I don't know if I told you, Gladys, but my grandfather on my mom's side, my mom's dad was Jewish. So my second last name is Braunstein, which is a very Jewish name.
Jewish.
So I've never met that I never met that Jewish side of my family, but it's like I've always known that I've kind of carried that. And then all of a sudden now I have a foster son and he happens to be Jewish. So the Jewish community in Aventura. So I live in Aventura, and obviously most of my neighbors are Jewish. I put my Christmas lights on, but they're always putting out, the menorahs outside the door. I'm putting my Christmas wreath. And I have to say that, the pour out of love from the Jewish community has been amazing. And I just think, to me, one of the most important things that I instill in my children is the faith in God. And being able to count on God, and tradition is super important. Tradition. Some of us practice tradition in different ways, but I feel that it's important and it's fundamental for the character of somebody and for teaching values for the families. Like, we do first communion, you guys do bar mitzvah. All of these things are super important, and they build character and values in the person and things that are unforgettable, so that when you grow up, you pass them on to your children, and then you continue that beautiful tradition from no matter where you came from, and you instill in your children that faith in God.
Because there's three separate things. One thing is religion, which each one has their own faith, their own religion. The other is traditions, because it's very different on how you celebrate each holiday, or how you celebrate no matter what religion you are. That's the traditional part. And then there's the other one that is culture. Because how you said, okay, culturally, we eat ayacas.
Yes.
So, culturally, that's one part. And there's one thing that unites everything, and that's faith.
Exactly.
And that is, it doesn't matter who do we believe in. It doesn't matter if it's Jesus Christ, if it's God, if it's Allah. It doesn't matter, but it's the faith that we have, and also the respect for others.
Oh, absolutely. That's like fundamental.
In whatever you believe in, I respect you, you respect me, and that's the beauty of faith.
Yes. Yes.
So that's the part that I wanted to share to everyone, because
yes, it's beautiful. Because it's enriched. Like I said, you learn about another culture, you learn about other traditions, and then obviously you don't want that person to lose where they come from. I feel like it's important to also respect that, and why not? It just makes our life bigger, and it expands our happiness, to be honest with you. And it also enriches the lives of my children, not only my foster son, because he gets to learn about something else, but it also enriches the lives of my children.
And the other thing I want to say, and I'm going to say it here, is that at 13, it is extremely important to do his bar mitzvah. So I'm committed to helping you with everything that he needs to have
you're so sweet.
the best bar mitzvah ever. From the part of studying to having an amazing party.
Oh, amen. Amen. We need, and by then, hopefully COVID will be done and we can actually have a party.
We can actually have a party, but for now, we need to stay safe. Like, look, all of the parties everything. I know that there's people that are still out there that are saying it doesn't matter. Yes, it does. Please.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that have been really, really sick. And with that, I know that time is over. And I want to leave you with a big thank you. Enjoy Christmas. I know that you also need a miracle for this Christmas.
Yes, I want my husband home for Christmas.
Yes, where all of us are praying to send your husband home. I know that behind the scenes we're doing everything we can so that he can be with you for Thanksgiving, for Christmas.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gladys. This was such a pleasure.
Thank you, everyone. And above all, be well and stay safe.
Yes.
Bye.